Welcome to Downshift, everyone. My name is Paulo.
And my name is Matt, and we have spent the week with the newly refreshed Acura TLX Type S. It competes with my car and your car, but what I'm going to do is walk you around the car, show you the features, and cover the best and the rest.
Yes, then we're going to grab the keys, we're going to go for a drive, talk about the standout features and where it fits in the segment.
Let's get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is the limit handling. Now, on the spectrum of luxury sports sedan, this is certainly more on the luxury end of that spectrum. This is a fabulous 7 or 8/10 car. The steering is sharp, there's enough power, and we'll talk more about the pros of this stuff when we do our pro side of the video, of course. But when you take this car to its absolute limit, you can just kind of tell that it's not really happy there. It's not really comfortable there. It's powerful and it's quick, but it's not as quick as some of its rivals. It sounds okay, but not amazing. The gearbox I do have some issues with at the limit. It's gonna shift for you most of the time as you approach redline, so you might as well just leave it in automatic mode. And it's not quite quick enough in manual mode, and in auto it just seems maybe a little bit confused, this 10-speed. The dynamics day to day are great, but at the limit there's understeer. This is a heavy car, and they've mounted the engine in front of the front wheels. So if you don't get the car slowed down enough, it is going to push, it is going to understeer. It's also a front wheel drive first car, unlike you'd get like something in my M340. Now that being said, you do have Acura's super handling all-wheel drive, which is fantastic. It sends 70% of the torque, or up to 70% of the torque, to the back, and then 100% of that torque to either wheel. We've heard this a million times. But even with traction off, I did struggle to dial out some of the understeer with the throttle. Overall, it feels like the car is just not really comfortable at its absolute limit, but how often are you really doing that? It's important to remember that Type S isn't the same philosophy as Type R, and this car does very well when backed off a little, backed off a tenth or two, and driven like a normal person, which again we'll talk about in a little bit. And then we have to address some of the technology, and more specifically, the native technology in the UI. Now, some updates are new for 2024 here, like a bigger center screen, and it does look nice, but you still have the silly absolute proximity touch thing for your UI. So if you want to interact with something at the top left of the screen, you have to have your finger in the top left of the pad. And then when you take your finger off the pad, the cursor goes away, so you're never really sure where your finger is. But when you go into Apple CarPlay, which is wireless by the way, it does act like a more normal trackpad. The scrolling isn't entirely intuitive, but it's not so bad. So from a UI perspective, it's a bit challenging, but it's something that they're working on. And when it comes to features, you will be missing some of the more frilly features that you'd get in like a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz, like a lap timer, etc. But the truth is, you get a lot of stuff here, and it's everything you'd actually want to use from a day-to-day perspective. You have a full head-up display with full color and customizability. You've got a digital cluster that is also new for this year and looks pretty good with reasonable customizability and things that you can see and access. You've got 360 cameras here, and you can summon them with the push of the button on the end of the wiper stalk, and I kind of dig that for some reason. They're good resolution, and they stay on when you're driving forward, which I love, up to like 10-15 miles an hour. But there's a weird dip in the forward camera, seemingly for no reason. But you do get new ambient light options with more funky color schemes, which we'll dedicate an entire Instagram video for. And to top it all off, you've got Alexa built in. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the UI here, but as far as all the features go, you've got everything that you could need. And when it comes to the back seats here, this is artificially moved back because it does the chauffeur thing when you get out of the driver's side, but generally speaking, it is just a little bit more cramped here, and I'm sitting pretty slouched right now. If I were to sit up straight, I'm 6'1", my head is in pretty solid contact with the roof of the car. So it's just a little bit smaller than rivals. It's not uninhabitable, especially because most of the time you're not having 6-footers in your back seat, but as far as features go, it is pretty nice back here if you can fit. The leatherwork is really classy. The suede in the middle carries over from the front seat, which is really nice. You've got dual map pockets back here, some vents, some chargers, and of course, some cup holders. So it is pretty nice back here as long as you can fit. But then switching gears and talking about all the great things about this TLX Type S, and there are several, the first thing that I want to talk about is the daily driving. We talked about the absolute limit handling, and that's not really the strong suit of this car. But when you take a tenth off and you just kind of relax a little bit and just flow with the car, this is where it shines. The 3-liter twin-turbo V6 here makes 355 horsepower, 354 pound-feet. That is enough power to feel peppy. The auto can feel sharp or smooth depending on what you want from it. The adaptive suspension is more on the comfy side than the sporty side, which is a welcome change from my M340. The steering and the differential are fast, and they balance the car in the way that feels sharp and really dynamic. Again, when you're just a tenth or two off the limit. This is a heavy car overall and a long wheelbase, so the ride is pretty good, but the fuel economy does suffer a little bit due to that. I've been getting about 24 mpg combined, and to be honest, that's probably a little bit more highway than anything else. But ultimately, when you are on the highway or commuting, I would rather be in this Acura than in my BMW. It's so comfy, there's power when I want it, the visibility is great, the ELS sound system is fantastic. It's just a luxury car that happens to be kind of quick. It's a luxury car that has some pace in it. And that's all right for me, and I think probably a lot of you, if you're really honest with yourself about what you need from your car. And then finally, we get to talk about one of the best things about the TLX Type S, and it's the way it looks. Now, like I said, this is one of the best things about the car. I would go so far as to say it's the best looking in the segment here. Here we have the new urban gray paint. It's like a Nardo, but with a new fresh take, where it adds some flake and some shimmer, and it looks excellent. But if it's me and my money, I'm gonna go with Acura's amazing Tiger Eye Pearl Gold paint. That is the business right there. The grille, though, for 2024 is reworked and cleaned up. There's no more plexi slab for your radar detector. It's worked into the badge now, but still, it's a really sharp, aggressive face. And then from profile, you can see that this thing is all hood. The wheels are new for this year. They're 20 inches and they're wrapped in 255s with red Brembos peeking out to complete the stance. It's overall a very attractive car. The rear end is familiar, and this one has the rear wing that I want for my BMW M340. The quad tips look mean back there, but they maybe look a little bit meaner than they actually sound. But overall, this thing is all style, and I'm very about it. So it looks better than the Germans, and it feels better on the inside than the Germans too. How is it that the Japanese make such a nicer interior than the Germans? The leather quality in a Lexus or this Acura is noticeably on a higher level than in any Mercedes, Audi, or BMW that I've tested recently. There's textures on things and a weight to the knobs, so things are really satisfying to interact with. There's physical buttons for basically everything, which is awesome. And this like dark Merlot style red interior with the black Alcantara is really, really classy, and it continues into the rear. Up front, you have heated and cooled seats, and the heated steering wheel, which feels great in hand, also has the little leather dimples or perforations on 9 and 3, and I just love it. It feels really, really good. Another thing that they focused on for the refresh for 2024 here was better cabin isolation, and it shows. This does feel truly on a higher level of luxury than at least in my M340. And then we're going to talk about cargo capacity and the trunk space more specifically, and this one gets a little bit nuanced, so stay with me. Now, the TLX officially claims a 13.5 cubic foot trunk space, which is significantly smaller than the 17 cubic foot trunk on my M340. And there's a cross brace behind the rear seats, which compromises things a little bit. But given the 13.5 rating, this feels a lot bigger than that. And it feels way bigger than the 11 cubic foot trunk that you get in the Lexus IS 500. And this one doesn't have any spiders in it, Lexus. And the Genesis G70 also gives you about an 11 cubic foot trunk. So overall, I'm totally happy with the trunk space here on the TLX Type S. And one of the last things we'll talk about is price, and this is one of the best things about the car, at least as it pertains to its rivals. The TLX Type S is far and away the most affordable in the class. It starts at $57,000, and that's with all-wheel drive and comes basically loaded out. The G70 from Genesis starts less, but to get a comparable spec to what you've got going on here, it's going to cost the same, if not a little bit more. The IS 500 from Lexus is $3,000 more for the cheapest one you can get into. And an M340 from BMW starts at over $2,000 more, and that's just with rear-wheel drive and no options. If you're looking at a C43, I suggest you reevaluate your life. And if you're looking at an Audi S4, that's going to start at similar, but options will quickly have you low to mid-60s. So the TLX is the most affordable, best looking, and has some of the nicest cabin materials. So with that, let's meet back up with Paulo and go over some standouts and the bigger picture with this TLX Type S. Actually, he's River Hills, he probably will do shit.
Yeah, I know, they probably will. Okay.
Quick.
It is quick.
Quick-ish. No, quick, I would say quick.
It is quick. Quicker than your average.
It is as quick as I want from this thing.
Exactly. Let's talk about standouts. Do you want to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
The ride is great.
Yes.
The interior materials are great. Leather wrap dash, padded leather wrap dash. This little bit here,
really
awesome.
padded. Yep.
Seats, fabulous, heated and cooled. I mean, like, just all of the luxury stuff that I want in a luxury car is here.
Yes.
It's here. And yeah, that's really my stuff. The other thing that stands out in a less positive way is this trackpad. But I know that they're phasing it out, so I don't want to harp too much on it.
Yeah, and I would say for me, the standouts are, outside of the things that you kind of mentioned, is that this feels very special inside.
Yes.
Like you have the Type S logo on the steering wheel and the headrest, you have a flat brim steering wheel here. Like it just makes you feel really special, and I think it's also the most sporty and aggressive looking in this segment, and I personally think it looks the best. Yeah,
it feels to me, especially in the cabin, like your money went the furthest. Mm-hmm. Your money went the furthest of really probably anything else. The Lexus also has really nice leather, but like even the Germans don't have the leather that you get here. And yes, I think when you said the looks, you meant the exterior styling?
Yes, exterior styling.
That is a banger. Yes. Exterior styling here, banger.
And I know bangers. I know bangers.
I would go with the gold paint, personally, but still, banger.
I think this is a
very good Nardo gray.
Yeah, I like this spec. Any other standouts, or we can jump to kind of where we think it fits in the segment?
Yeah, let's have the bigger conversation of like, because this competes with cars that you and I both own.
Yep.
So we're very, very familiar with this segment, and having spent the last 7 days with this car, I think I have a pretty good sense of like what this is now and where it fits. And I would say that in this segment is a spectrum. It's in the sport, luxury, compact sedan spectrum, things like the M340, and we'll have a full head-to-head video coming out in 2 days, but M340 on the full kind of performance, sporty-oriented side. Mm-hmm. The ride is stiff, you make some compromises that way. This is on the full other end of the spectrum. It's a little bit less quick, it's not as at home at the limit, but it's worlds better from just like a daily comfort and luxury perspective to me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think in comfort mode, you can't tell that this thing, can do what it can do, and it's really, really comfortable. You can't even tell that it shifts actually when you're in comfort mode with this transmission. Yeah. I think it does that extremely well. I think, as we kind of mentioned, the G70 is a good in between the comfort of this and the sportiness, aggressiveness of the M340.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally agree. This is really, really good up to that 8/10 mark. And I think this car brings up the question of like, or not necessarily the question, but like the topic that you need to know yourself and be realistic with yourself about what you want from your car. Because to me, in my daily, especially since I get to drive all these fun, exciting cars all the time, I don't actually need that exciting of a daily. I don't need like the 10/10s hardcore stiff ride, M experience per se.
Yeah, you're saying this could fill that void.
This fills a very good void.
Yes.
Because it's full luxury, but it does have a snappy gearbox when you're just going in a straight line. It does feel quick in a straight line. It handles pretty well when you're not at the absolute ragged edge of performance.
Yes. And it looks great doing it.
And it looks fabulous too. Yes. You're totally right. So there's a lot to love. I love a lot about this car. Sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, just the last thing is like you feel really special behind the wheel. This interior, compared to some of the other things in this segment, I would say it's one of the most special interiors, especially the color combination that we have here.
Totally, would totally agree. Yeah, I'm pretty smitten with this car. This is a good car, and I think it gets slept on, and I think more people should pay attention to it. So hopefully you guys watch this video and take what we said for truth, because this has been a truly fun week with this car.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed. So thank you to Acura for our first Acura loan.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember having another one before this.
Thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. We'll see you in our head-to-head.